RootsOfTheSwampThing.com, your definitive online source for all things Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is heating up. A brand new series coming from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. A brand new TV series on DC's streaming service online. RootsOfTheSwampThing.com. A lot of stuff about his history, what he's doing today, and everything in between. Go to RootsOfTheSwampThing.com for more information. Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
Brought to you by RootsOfTheSwampThing.com and SuperCon 2018 Return of the Con.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Peter Parker himself. Alex, how you doing?
Hello everybody.
And across me, we have Spider-Ham himself, Garrett.
I believe it's Spider Pig. No, Spider Ham.
No, Spider Ham. Spider
Yeah,
Pig is
Peter
But
from
that's P-Y-D-E-R, right?
Peter Porker.
Peter Porker.
Yeah,
That's right.
but Spider Ham is from the Simpsons movie.
And I am Spider Noir himself, Nick Cage, baby.
Of
Here
course
we go.
you do that.
Nick Cage is like, I don't understand when people don't understand this, and I'm going to throw this out there. Best actor of our lifetime.
Nope, that's no.
You've never seen what I've seen.
There's a shirt out there with Nick Cage on it of all his faces and all his feelings of Nick Cage, and there's one with bees and
There's
a
no
Ghost
role
Rider.
that he can't do, though,
That may be true. He
You
may
know,
be silly putty.
except to be a serious actor.
Yes.
Garrett, the coworker you were talking about before, also likes Nick Cage, and
Yes.
so that's why we're better friends than me and you.
Whoa.
Shots are fired here on the show,
Hey,
guys.
you know what? Actually, you know how people can do... So AI is so advanced now that they can face swap people and it looks like real. Like you can make basically fake videos to somebody. And somebody did that with Face Off. And you know how John Travolta is playing Nick Cage's character and Nick Cage is playing John Travolta? They did a face swap so that Nick Cage is playing John Travolta's character, but it has Nick Cage's face still. And so I'd say it's classic work. So...
Huh.
Wednesday Comics were a comic book review podcast. You wouldn't know by listening to the last 2 minutes, but the week of 1919.
So we do sound like we're a Nick Cage fan show.
We can make that happen. 1/9/2019. We are in the future. This is the future of Blade Runner, baby. So I'm gonna get in my car afterwards and fly out here.
Aren't we a couple years shy of that?
No, it takes place in 2019,
Oh, that's right.
and then the sequel takes place 30 years afterwards. So we got some time before Batista shows up. I'm going to read some comic books this weekend. At the end of the show, give you a little preview of 2019. I found a good list. SuperCon friend of the show, Shane, shared a list, and I looked through it, and I liked the way it was formatted. It's month by month. I thought we'd go through it and see what's coming out. Get a little hyped, maybe a little too hyped.
Ooh.
I heard a little hyped, a little too hyped, and then I wasn't sure if we we're getting high or we're getting hyped.
It's either that or we're RAF. So
We're getting hot. We're getting so hyped we're high.
a little too.
A little too RAF.
But before we get there, free talk here. Something happened this week, which Alex, I know you have an opinion. I'm not sure if you're gonna. You have no stake in this, but you'll have an opinion. So I'm going to bring it up because we love the Alex opinion about this. And Garrett,
We know you like steaks.
Is it going to be good, like a good opinion, or am I going to hate it?
Garrett does have a stake in this, and so I wanted to talk about this with him to get his take on this. So this week, DC Comics announced a partnership with Amazon and comixology to bring a bunch of DC Comics and Vertigo Comics to their unlimited service. So basically what you do, and actually it's $6. You pay $6 a month, and they have a collection of comics that you can just read. It's like Marvel Unlimited, but there's Marvel, Image, Boom, and now DC.
And Vertigo?
Vertigo and DC. And so it's all these publishers. Well, actually, you know what? Where's my phone? I actually had pulled up what you can get with it. Comixology Unlimited. Over 15,000 comics, graphic novels, and manga. Unlimited reading. Exclusive discounts. You get 15% off all books you buy in there, which I didn't know before this story came out. So maybe it makes better sense that I joined this since I buy a lot of comics from them now. And you can, read wherever
You get 15% off all books, or just the books that...
No, 15% off books you actually have to buy.
Oh.
So, which isn't a bad deal. I mean, $6, I can make it up in a whole month. But DC's bringing all these comics. They released a list. I can look it up if you're really interested. But the thing that made a stir online this week is that there's more comics coming to Comics Unlimited than is available on the DC Universe app, which part of the selling reason for that app was, hey, you can read DC Comics. But Garrett was telling me before you got here that the selection on DC Universe is not as big as they promised.
Hang on. So the DC Universe is that separate transaction. That's where all the shows
It's like
are.
the Netflix of
this
DC.
thing you're telling
It's
me
a DC,
now
the DC online
is a different
service.
thing.
It's comixology.
It's comixology. Oh, burn.
So DC
Yeah,
made a deal with them
seriously,
to
it's
put more
bullshit.
titles on their service rather than their own. And how much is DC Universe a month?
You know,
You paid for a year.
I paid for a year, which was
Upfront.
$75. And if you're saying it's $6, it's $72.
And if
So I
for-
paid $3.
But
more.
if you pay monthly, what is it, like $12? Right?
I think so. Yeah, it's like $11.99.
I can look it up here in a second. But yeah, I think $11.99 sounds correct. But me and Garrett were talking about this beforehand. I was like, I don't understand this move.
Right.
I mean, it's good for me. I'm probably gonna do it because it makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds like way better than my fucking
But
deal.
I don't understand.
That's
They
TV
must
shows.
really be banking on those TV shows, and like that's the reason why you get that DC app and not the comics. They must not care about any which shows people, and this is why people were mad. It kind of shows them that they don't care about adding that many comics to their own service. They rather just pay Comixology and be like, "Here's the files, you figure it out," and have more content on there. Because I don't understand the move.
Well, the
I'm
worst
going
thing
to look and
that-
see if they've updated.
If it was the same amount of comics, like you can get them each one,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Because it's like, okay, we just want to make sure, because for Hoopla, they have a lot of comics on there too. So a lot of more recent comics. So you actually don't have to really, I mean, you only get like 6 or 9 a month, depending on where you're at. Your library decides that because they pay every time you get one. That makes sense to me because that's a different service. That's to get people into it. And then if they want to get more, then they go to your app, right? But Comixology, I don't understand why if you have the same type of service, DC Universe, where you can read unlimited DC comics, what they have, and Comixology Unlimited, the same type of service, why you would be like, oh, we're going to give them more books to show. I just don't understand the move.
Well, I think you're right
They
though.
have
that
added a lot more comics, but it's all their backlogs.
they're saying that we have too much emphasis on our TV shows and all these other things that you can have on the DC app, and they're like, oh, whatever. You guys at the Comixology can do all the work. That's not a problem. But once Comixology starts making a shitload of money on it, DC's gonna be, we're gonna pull our books back because how dare you guys benefit from something we told you guys you could do.
Yeah.
Here's the news article. Various DC titles have been added to Amazon's Comixology Unlimited subscription service. Thousands of DC single issues and collections have been added to the service. This is in addition to DC Universe, DC's in-house subscription service, which includes movies, TV shows, and comics. So they're just saying, hey, this isn't the same thing. This is more. DC, this is from John Cunningham, the Senior Vice President of Sales and Trade Marketing. So let's see what bullshit he pulls. DC is constantly looking at ways of growing the audience for comics and graphic models. So teaming with Comixology Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited, and Prime Reading is a natural fit. Does anybody have Amazon Prime?
I do.
So actually, you have access to this. You know that?
Already?
Yeah, it comes with Prime.
I get 15% off all digital books?
I don't know about that, but you get their unlimited.
I could read online.
Yeah,
What do you mean I got their unlimited service?
because they have Prime Reading.
Yeah.
And these comics are available on there. So actually, you have access to it already. From Aquaman, so I don't think
yeah.
I just learned from this article
I
right
just
now.
paid for my year.
From Aquaman to Sandman, there's so much for DC readers, old and new, to love here. Originally launched in May 2016, Comixology Unlimited is a $5.99 monthly flat rate subscription service, allowing unlimited reading of select titles from Comixology's catalog. In addition to the just added DC content, the service also includes titles from Marvel Comics, IDW Publishing, Dark Horse Comics, Boom Studios, Valiant Entertainment, Dynamite Entertainment, and others. The service is only available for U.S. residents. We're thrilled now to include an incredible selection of DC's vast library of superheroes and DC Vertigo titles as part of Comixology Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited, and Prime Reading, bringing an even bigger benefit to all of our subscription members, said the Comixology CEO David Steinberg. With the addition of DC and DC Vertigo titles, we're providing more convenience and a great opportunity for readers to discover and explore some of the best stories comics have to offer at no additional cost to their current Prime, Comixology Unlimited, and Kindle Unlimited subscriptions. DC has also added several collections and original graphic novels to
How the fuck
Prime
do I
Reading
not know
and
about this?
Kindle
I'm looking at it
Unlimited.
right now.
So maybe you're not going to be as bad as you thought because you'll have access to both of them. But imagine if you didn't, right? I just don't understand. DC's basically what they said was, hey, we just want to expand our audience, which makes sense. Like we were saying, it makes sense. But I just don't understand why you undercut yourself like that.
Yeah, that's...
I guess you only get that app if you want the TV shows or the movies, and which might be enough by itself, but maybe
it seems like this is coming in like the 11th hour when a lot of people have already purchased it.
And that's where the I'm not sure if it was anger, but more frustration came from was people were like, hey, why is this happening now? Like if it happened before, okay, but now you have your own service, and then you're like, okay, by the way, we're going to offer it on here too. I don't know. I thought it was just interesting. The world of digital comics is still like trying to figure out what to do. And these businesses, which usually run print comics, is still trying to figure out how to make it more accessible for people. And this is a good move, I think. I do love this move to include it on there. I just don't understand the choice to undercut yourself and then also frustrate people who took a chance on your app. That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I want to find how I get on the books.
Ask Garrett after we're done.
Found it in 3 seconds.
Maybe Alex, see, it does have stakes for you. So now you have...
I say I already paid for Prime. So
you have Prime.
Shit's not buying
it's
books.
It's not going to be for new comics. But that's the only thing that I've always said about digital comics is I'm like, if it's the same price as print, I'd rather get print.
Shit. You know what that means? I can go back and I can read Ultimate Spider-Man.
If it's on there.
If it's on there, yeah. I'll check and see what titles are on there. But
Holy Moses.
So that's good. I mean, I definitely do feel like, you know how I just named all those publishers that are working with comixology to include comics?
You can read all the beginning Turtles if it's on there.
If it's on there.
I think that's a great move because you want to expand your audience, right? So working with other publishers is not going to hurt, especially if you're working with a third party like that, because somebody going on there, if they see Ultimate Spider-Man next to Batman Nightfall, let's say, they're not going to be like, oh, that's DC, I'm not going to read that. If you had the choice between either one and it doesn't cost you any different,
read them both.
I'll read both of them. So, and I have. Break the bat. And
throw them off a building.
And I do think, so that, like I say, I don't think it's a bad move. I actually do love it expanding. I just don't understand why you undercut people like that. Hey, you know what? It's business. Who might have known that maybe there are different departments within DC and they didn't talk to each other.
But what a way for Amazon now just to bitch slap everybody. One more thing for Amazon to...
Well, Comixology used to be its own company, and then Amazon bought it, and because they saw that digital comics is a growing market, and so they wanted to get involved in it.
Oh, so. I mean, even right there, just going... I mean, I realize... So Comixology is from Amazon regardless. So whatever, not that big
So
a
actually,
deal.
any comics...
But if DC signed off going, hey, by the way, you guys can use our books, that's fine. What a way for Amazon then to slap DC going, yeah, we're going to take what you've given us and then we're going to embrace it and add even more to it so that you guys are not obsolete. Obviously, they're going to have the TV shows. But Amazon, what a way to put out a service.
And I think the main reason, because it kind of proves to... What's on there?
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to be sitting up at night when I'm rocking my daughter.
Swipe left. Swipe left.
I'm just going to be reading
I think it just proves that what people were fearing about the DC Universe, because when they first announced it, they said, hey, we're going to have comics on here, people got excited. Mm-hmm. And then when they gave more information, they were like a curated list of titles. People were like, what does that mean? How many? And then when they gave the list, people were like, well, that's not as much as I wanted, but it's a good list of comics. And people were like, I don't think they're really focused on the comic part of it. That's more just like a third thing. And we've talked about before that we thought a good way, like they really should have more comics on there, because if somebody watches Titans, for instance, and they want to go read Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, like it's a good way to get him into that. If they watch the show and be like, hey, let me go read. I mean,
oh, no worries. They're having him read the 1980s version of Teen Titans. Literally, that's what they're doing on the app.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, but that's what they should be doing. Like a Swamp Thing, when that TV show comes out, they should have Saga the Swamp Thing, and they'll be like, hey, read this too while you're watching the show. But they need more comic content in order to do that and get people like, who's going to be like, if there's no Swamp Thing comics on there, I don't know if there is. Is there?
I'd have to look.
But
there might be.
let's say there's not that much. If there's not that much Swamp Thing content, and somebody watches that show and they want to read the comics, and they say, oh, it's not on there, I actually got to go buy it right away, then they're not going to go look for it. I mean, it's just another step they have to hurdle over to get into that comic. But I do think I What's up? What does that mean? I don't understand.
I want to know what you want to talk about,
I was
dipshit.
like, about indie books. You can't just throw words at me when I'm in a group like
I know,
this.
but I thought he got it. He knew
Well, anyways, Amazon Go, if you have Prime reading, Kindle Unlimited or Comixology Unlimited, that's new. DC is on there now, so
Swampy. So I could read New 52 Swamp Thing?
They do have New 52 Swamp Thing.
Which app is
only from this DC from issue.
Oh, this is DC.
I have Comixology Unlimited here. Let me check for you quick.
This is only New 52 here.
Hey, this might be the thing to get Alex to start reading some digital comics. So.
The thing is, it wouldn't stop me from getting like my weekly books. But I tell you what, it'd give me a chance to read masterpieces that I don't want to go out and buy.
Yeah, I know. That's always been something that's good here. All of the up through book 3 at least is on unlimited Saga of the Swamp Thing, so you can read book 3.
That would have been nice to know.
Well, you didn't know about this service. I didn't know you had Prime. I would have let you know because I read this article. I think it came out last week when they announced it.
Would you buy Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I bought Swamp Thing Volume 2 digitally.
Oh.
Well, actually, here we go. Actually, let me give you some information because it says start here, DC on Comixology Unlimited. I opened the app here. Fan favorites, they have Wonder Woman Earth 1, so you can read that if you want to. Grant Morrison, Yannick Paquette. Hush, which you read before. The Button, which is great, so if you want to read that. All-Star Superman, issue 1. Aquaman for the New 52. Batman Year 1, Flashpoint, Justice League, Identity Crisis. White Knight is on there, which was one of our recommendations, so go ahead and read that.
Spectacular.
The Flash by Jeff Johns, book 1 is on there, unlimited. Teen Titans Earth 1, which is Jeff Lemire, which I haven't read. Have you read that?
The Teen Titans with Jeff Lemire?
Yeah, Earth 1. We should.
Oh, yeah, I've read Volume 1. I haven't read
that.
Volume 2.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
And a lot more new Batman with here's Nightfall, like I was saying. With Tom King's Batman's on here also. All-Star Batman, which okay. A lot of things on here. So it's just I think it's a good move because obviously like right away we see proof of this. Alex now knows that he has access to this, wants to check it out. So anybody who has Prime be like, oh, I have access to this too. Maybe you didn't know.
Well, what really gets me is that Comixology one. If it's 15% off all issues, like especially new issues.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a big incentive to get digital comics.
I didn't know that till I read the article. So guess who's going to jump on board, baby?
Yeah.
Wednesday Comics. We have some reviews. 1/9/2019 is the day they came out. When you're listening to this, it probably is a little later, but you probably read your stack already. And here's what we're talking about. We're talking about Die number 2. This is Karen Gillan, and who's the artist? I forgot. Karen Gillan. It is the book about D&D.
That's Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. These kids basically start this dungeon or RPG game. It's not Dungeons and Dragons specifically. It's an RPG, and they are a table RPG, and they get lost in there, right? And the first issue we saw, they were gone for a while, and when they come back, one of their friends is still missing. And at the end of the issue, we see the person who was missing, Sol, right?
Yep.
And Sol is now looks like he is
the Grand Master.
He's a little messed up. Hans is the last name for the artist there. And the second issue, we start exactly where we left off in the first issue, and basically this guy's like, hey, let's play now. The Grand Master's not here anymore. Like, now we have the whole world to ourselves. And it doesn't seem like a total 100% the bad guy of this book, but he does seem like
he's corrupted of some kind.
He's corrupted, but it seems like he really loves being in there now.
But the only way the game can end is if everyone agrees to stop playing, and he's the only one that's like... So
originally, they do a flashback in this issue, and we see that originally they all agreed to leave, but right before they jumped, Saul was grabbed by the Grand Master, which left him behind. And what was the girl's name? She loses an arm because she's holding on to Saul at the time.
No, I thought Abby was the crap. Marie? No. God, what was her name?
Ash's sister.
Yeah.
I think Ash's sister loses. No, it's the...
I don't know. Marvin's going to look it up for us because I don't remember.
Isabel?
Yes.
Isabel.
That sounds right.
So loses an arm.
The soldier or one of them.
And that's how she lost her arm. So they came back to the game because of some weird reason. Somebody gave them like they got tricked to come back into the game. But then now they can't leave. Very right. Like they all have to agree, and Saul obviously doesn't want to leave. So he's definitely going to be friction in this story, but he doesn't seem like he really wants to. He doesn't want to kill them, but he definitely doesn't want them to.
You want to play a game?
So he'll do anything to stay there, it seems like, and we'll see where that goes. So we find out in this book there actually is some bad guys, some orcs. They're called the Fallen, and so they fight those guys. That whole scene. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to get your take on this because I've dabbled in some Dungeons and Dragons in the day. I got some dice lying around here that my son threw around. You see right there, there's a D20. And you believe me, I set that out to set the mood.
Right. I didn't find it on the floor when I first got
my
here.
son didn't just throw that on the floor. I thought that whole scene from when the character, I forget his name, is only 2 inches.
Chuck?
Walks up to the elf queen.
The fool?
And it turns out to be the Fallen instead. Until the end of that scene was perfect, like meta, like it was meta commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. It was like people doing like playing an RPG, but also commenting on how D&D works.
Well, I like the rules that it told us because that was the one thing that. So in the beginning of this issue, they give you the rundown. Ash is this person. This is the power. Blah 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 blah. Not knowing how that technically works, and then you get the what was the emotional knight? What was his name? Whatever, but I don't even remember what his something like that. Anyway, so you get the rundown of what their powers are, and that starts off with, I believe the guy's name is Chuck, and he's the fool. So he just runs in, knuckles bared, let's go fight some bastards, and that's what he does. Stabs the queen. Holy shit! I was blown away. I was like, okay, that's how I maybe would have done it. I would have just ran in, but then he's digging through the Fallen's pockets to find gold to give to Isabel, the girl who had lost her arm in the human realm, and now she is a artifact elf or an artifact
Neo or something like that.
Neo,
yeah, I think
so. He gives her the gold, and the gold feeds her technology,
like her powers,
so then she can use her abilities. She can use her sword. She's got the sweet visor. Her arm is Winter Soldier-esque. And then what's the
which is true because like in D&D, some things cost in order to use it. So that was great to see. And also they said that the whole fight lasted 30 seconds. And in D&D, a round is 6 seconds. So it lasted 5 rounds, which is, this book for me, the story is great, and also like the attention and the love that you see that Karen Gillan has for RPGs like that is showing through here. But it's also interesting because this world has to live within those mechanics, and he's telling a story around it. So basically, he's just doing a campaign for D&D for us, but he's doing his own RPG. So I just find it interesting that that's the way he's framing the story, and then he's like, okay, so how do I play with this, though? Because I don't think it's always going to be like this. They might break this world somehow, and they obviously don't want to be here, and they're going to kind of manipulate the world because they know the rules, right? So if you knew the rules, like, you can only do this here, and you try to break it. So that's what I'm most curious for. And plus, the art's fantastic.
Oh, the art is so good. This is an artist I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen on any other book.
Wicked and Divine did a one-off spin-off thing, and they were the artists on there.
Okay.
I like that. So there's in this.
I think it's Stephanie Hans. I think
in this fight scene, I don't remember what the knight's name is, but he's an emotional knight, or I think he's a sad knight.
Well, if he becomes sad,
Stephanie Hans. Yep.
So his power, his sword wants sadness.
Yeah.
And Ash, and this is one of my 2 favorite parts in this book, was Ash is the dictator. She tells you what to do or how to feel. She messes with your emotions. So to make Sad Knight sad, she told him, you need to cry.
Because wasn't she the DM when they started playing? Like, she brought the game, right? Or was it the guy?
No, I believe it was Saul.
It was Saul? Okay.
Who had the game.
That's what I was trying to figure out, like, she was.
But her job as the dictator is to tell you how to feel. And for him to have his power, he had to cry onto his sword, and his sword goes berserk. And
he does what he does.
And I didn't need you to cry. And so that's ended it. Boom, done. Holy shit. Loved it. And even the knight goes, I hate you. Not to the sword, but tells you to Ash, I hate you for what you've done.
And that's the thing that I feel like is great about this book is that even if you don't know the rules or the mechanics for D&D, it does explain it in a way, but it explains it not being like, here's the rules for you. It explains it being like, I know we can only do this, or I need to do this to make it happen. And it plays it off like if they were actually playing in character. And it doesn't be like, okay, I know I need to do this. So I find that the most interesting is that, like I've been saying the whole time, that whole aspect, like the round I just said, it's like 5 rounds. Like that doesn't add anything to the story. I think it's just cool. But
it's cool that you know that like background information. Like me, I have no idea. I was just like, damn, that's a quick fight.
I like there's the next part after they get done with their fight. They're deciding where they're going to go, and they choose the desert.
I think so.
So there's like 4 options for them to choose. They can either go through the war zone, they can go through the forest where they don't know what to expect, or they do, but it's horrible. There's somewhere else you can go on the water and see if you have to fight the Kraken or not. So they decide to go through the war zone. Well, you run into an old knight that had been introduced to Ash, and Ash said, "Oh yeah, I'll be here. Just wait for me," type of thing. And that was the oath that this knight had taken, was that I will wait for you to come back. Mm-hmm. And so they go back.
So
they go back. They go back to the human realm, and that tells you right there, this game doesn't stop. These characters, these things' lives didn't stop, and so you come
time
back.
Is moving on there too.
Yeah. So both our human realm and the die realm go at the same pace, apparently, or maybe not. Maybe it's a speedier realm for die.
I think in the first issue, didn't it say that world moves faster?
I don't know, because
weren't they only gone for a little bit?
6 weeks or something like that.
Young though, not that old.
But then
he's been in there for 30 years.
Yeah, and he looks not as old as they do, or they would if.
She did say I'm a 45-year-old woman, so I think their characters have aged along with them. They just haven't been there. So I think it's been 30 years.
So anyway, this knight has now come back to talk to Ash, going, "I waited for you to come back, and I died, and my eyes rotted out of my head, and this is what I look like." Takes off his mask. He's got maggots in his eyes, and he is just disgusting. And as he's pinned her to the ground and is talking to her, does someone kill him, or does he just deteriorate?
Somebody grants him the gift of vision.
Oh, that's right.
So he can finally see and be
the god. What's the god necromancer type of girl?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The godling.
Like I said, don't remember character names.
Well, no, but I know. But I assumed you would have had the titles for what they may have been.
I'll pull it up here
because I don't remember what she was called. Like a god bringer.
Speaking about that part, Alex, do you remember like in the flashback when she first puts it on him? I think I remember saying, I guess I'll look here in a second. Doesn't she like do it as a joke, being like, "Hey, this would be funny if I do this"?
Yeah. Well, I think it was meant to be flirtatious.
Yeah.
And in our realm, obviously, no one's going to hopefully wait that long. But being a knight, he is duty bound to come back to you, and that's what he told you he would do.
Ash with the D4 is a dictator. Demonic Ash in the real world. Ash is the world of Ash in the world of die, married and marketing Sal's best friend. D6 is Chuck. He's a fool. Fantasy novelist with a multiple ex-wives, no tact in a film franchise. D8 is Matt. He's the grief knight. D10 is Angela. She's the Neo. D12 is Isabel. She's the Godbinder. And D20 is Soul, who's the Grey Master, it says now. What?
For the record, that was me. I loved. I was a little weird. So when I got into the first 2 pages, we just show up in the world. It's like, okay, I know that's where we left off. But I thought, is this going to be as good as last issue? Because there's not a lot of words.
Oh, that's what he said. As he rode off, he said he would not rest until he gazed upon my perfection once more. He dared me to use my powers to make his words binding. I laughed and I did so. And then but she's probably he was being flirty, being like, "Hey, you should use your powers to make it so that I can't die until I see you again." And she's like, "All right," because the first time, and they explained this in this issue, where they didn't take it seriously.
Yep.
They were like, "This is a fantasy world," but now they realize that it is not you can really get hurt.
All those decisions have repercussions.
They have repercussions, and so they're going to take it seriously. And it doesn't they said, well, let's take it seriously. And if it turns out that this doesn't matter, who cares? But if we act like this doesn't care and it actually turns out that it matters, there's bigger repercussions than if we just the other way around. Which I love this book. I mean, it's been 2 issues, which it could go downhill quick.
But in 2 issues, that generally first issue either has to hook me or it really sets me up for a fall. Issue 1 was amazing. Issue 2 was actually even better for me.
It built on the foundation that 1 had set out.
It built the
how
world.
you should always do it.
It actually let me know there's stakes in this book, and to let me know that these characters, though they want to fix the problem, this isn't where they want to be. I am so excited for issue 3 to come out and to actually get a little more detail on what these characters can do. I'm hoping that it's not a broken record where we see this all the time, where they keep having to cry on their sword or power up. Hopefully they get either a different power up or they get, new weapons, kind of like in an RPG game like Golden Sun or Final Fantasy.
Update them and stuff like that.
You can update or you can power up or you can level up or what have you. That this book has got either limitless stories to tell. This is a 10 for me.
Yeah, me too.
I have a prediction.
Yeah.
If you look at the back cover, each issue has been highlighted. I think there's going to be 20 issues of this book.
Highlighted, what do you mean?
So if you flip on the back cover, there's a folded out 20 die, and it highlighted white in the one on the back of the first issue, and on the back of this issue, it has a white too. I'm not saying it has to be 20 issues, but if it was going to be, it would be 20 issues. But I give it a 10. I really enjoyed it.
Dices go up to 100, so.
Well, that dice, on the back cover, it has 20.
I think you meant it just
like the 17, 18, 19, 20 are really hard to see, but you can barely see them.
So maybe it moves on. Who knows? Maybe. Roll another dice. Maybe hit critical and get to do it again. You would say? What was your rating? I got a 10. 10.
Yes.
Yeah, this was my... yeah, actually, I would say this is the pick that I had for this week.
The other book that I really enjoyed is good, but I still think I enjoyed this one more.
We'll talk about it in a second. Alex, what else would we get?
We got Go Power Rangers. Hang on, I'm sorry.
Go Power Rangers.
Waiting for my damn thing to pull.
17.
Is it 17? 16.
So.
16. So Go Power Rangers number 16. That cover is immaculate. We got writer Ryan Parrott and art by Eleonora Carlini. Dan Moore on that cover, as I just said. Okay, so we had found out that Trini and Jason, that's the 2 characters that we know have actually switched powers and actually can kind of have a mind reading between the 2 of them. So Jason's now the Yellow Ranger. Trini is the Red Ranger, which technically makes her the leader.
And also it's fun because they've always had romantic feelings for one another, and now they can read each other's minds, having those romantic thoughts. So
I was excited. So in this issue, on the cover of 15, they had Trini and Jason kissing. And finally, I was like, let them finally have this moment. And even in the book, it was finally. They kissed, and I think that was in issue 15. 16, they're chasing after Rita Repulsa to find out what she's doing, what this evil plan is. Rita's proven to be a sorceress beyond belief, working with Brielle.
In this book with Rita, she seems way more cunning than she normally is. And it kind of scares me. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Rita who's like, make my monster grow. And this one's like, I'll get you.
I made my monster grow, and he's terrifying.
Right. And I got a lot going on in the background. It's going to come kicking the ass later.
There's the story. So the story A is the Power Rangers have to, show up and they're going to fight the Brielle lady, who we are now finding out what they were hunting down is what impressed me. Maybe I don't want to spoil that for everybody. But anyway, the rest of the cavalry shows up. So Kimberly, Billy, and Zach show up to fight Rita and this, I believe Brielle is the species of alien. And their colors have changed. So Kimberly's blue, Zach is pink, and Billy is black. Holy shit. I almost liked them more in their new colors.
Yeah. That was fun. Because you never think about it, but the Black Ranger has a anti-gravity cannon, and Billy's like, "Is this an anti-gravity cannon?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, I love this." And Zach didn't know how to use the bow and arrow, but that reveal was cool because basically Trini and Jason had got all these bad guys between them. And then out of nowhere came the rest of the Power Rangers. The biggest loss I'm feeling right now though is that whole Shattered Grid storyline. Tommy never came back.
Oh, yeah.
It's what the fuck? But this has always been more about the core 5.
Well, but I have a feeling that I can't imagine Go Power Rangers would not have Tommy show up eventually.
Right.
Whether it's Dracon who gets rebooted into being just Tommy Oliver, or if this book technically doesn't have a Tommy yet.
But did you see there was at the beginning, there was that alternate Earth where Rita was attacking Green Ranger?
Yep.
So that could be a Tommy
or
it
was the Green Ranger working for it. It was a different alien species that he's like, oh, I'm going to fight you. And he goes, she tells him, I gave you this power, takes it back and goes, don't kill me. I'm not going to kill you. That'd be stupid. This book was, holy crap, amazing.
Right. And I think, you know, what keeps this really good is like Ryan Parrott staying on that book. I think he's really great at writing these characters. And I really thought the new artist was really good too.
Carlini is doing an amazing job. It has that semblance of Mora art, which that's what made this book so strong to begin with. The other part was the B storyline is Babu, one of the minions for Rita, is talking about having overthrow of her, taking her out, telling them Rita's not well enough to be our leader, trying to get Goldar talked into it, trying to get Squat and Fenster talked into doing this. And they agree. They're going to overthrow Rita.
There's like a coup, for sure.
And so we get to the end of the issue, and Rita claims to tell everybody, you guys did an amazing job. I was kind of surprised that the castle hadn't fallen down on your heads. This is for us. Not just her, but for us. Well, it turns out they had poisoned her drink. And so Goldar, Squat, and Fenster go, no, don't drink it. It's poison.
This is all Babu's idea.
It's all Babu. Well, good. You did a good job. As she told Babu to set to test loyalty on these guys, I was blown away.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, I didn't see it coming. I thought legitimately they were like, hey, I'm sick of this bitch always telling me what to do. And
I fell for the ruse.
Yeah. And that's good. That's when you know it's a good story, when you even fall for the ruse.
And they finally didn't make these characters just dumb pieces of shit. Because that was Squat and Babu and Goldar, they always made them so dumb. And now they actually made them worthwhile characters. Oh, man. This book, as long as Ryan can stay on this book, and I hope if it's not Carlini doing the art, hopefully we get Dan Mora back for an issue or two. Just to surprise me and make me happy. But this book is spectacular.
Yeah, I'm going to give this issue, I think, a 10. I think I really enjoyed it. The only thing that could have made it better is some giant-ass swords.
You know what? I think I will also give it a 10. There was nothing in this book I didn't... Actually, I probably enjoyed this more than I was expecting with the change of color and with that ruse. This book is a 10.
Yeah.
God, I loved it.
Next book we got is Batman number 62, written by Tom King with art by Mitch Gerads. Whatever. Professor Pig, the return of Professor Pig. At the end of the last issue, we saw that Alfred had been kidnapped.
Nope.
Or he had been mangled.
Last issue was the boy who killed his family who wants to be Bruce.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I swear they're... Okay.
No, because the issue 60 was the one with the penguin where he's laying on the floor. I don't think we know what happened yet with Alfred.
Okay. So then we went to this young boy, but now we're back.
Don't you remember Alfred was on the floor? Rose.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't remember if this was this. Because there's 20 million Batman comics coming out. I can't remember which one does he disappear.
Spoilers.
Master Bruce.
Well, it's not really spoilers, but...
What do we do when we fall down, sir? What the hell's that, leprechaun? So, I have a weird thing to say about this.
Jesus.
About this issue.
Kid in a freaking plane.
And I don't know how to word this exactly, so I'm just going to say it.
You hated it.
I liked and hated this issue at the same time. I don't know what's wrong. Overall, I think the art was great. Mitch Gerads. I like the mechanics of how it was made, but story-wise, just felt like a waste of time for me.
I agree with that. Yes. Just because
it seemed like it could have been like 2-3 pages of that nightmare, and then let's move on.
I think that's true too. I mean, it was all interior monologue, which I know you guys love.
Generally, I don't mind, but in this book, this seemed not a jab at Tom King, but this felt like a Rick Remender story of blood in my mouth, coppery.
Well,
it's warm.
It was internal monologuing, but also questioning that monologuing. Like he's not sure what he's seeing and not sure what he's saying.
Is it Bruce? Is it Dick Grayson? Because is this a dream?
It's definitely some sort of fear toxic.
Right.
Okay.
The whole thing.
Which is ridiculous, because have we seen Scarecrow? Maybe it's not Scarecrow. I realize there's other fear toxins, other shit that could be going on. It could be
Dick Grayson, because they're fighting Professor Pig and he sees Robin at the end, and Robin is, or it might be Bruce, that he's worried that, Damian is going to turn into a villain one day. And I don't know. the whole thing for me was just like, once again, in terms of like how it's put together, I thought it was fantastic. But in terms of what I thought I got my money's worth, it felt like this was like 2 to 3 pages worth of content.
Yeah.
Stretched over how long.
What would you even put it on the solicit for this? Like,
I don't know.
3 scenes that Batman does?
See, I was misled for the fact that issue 61 didn't have anything to do with this, but they're both under the Nightmare title.
Right.
And so Nightmare issue 1 was the kid killing his family, pretending to be Bruce. And then again, I'm still kind of confused. And maybe that's what all this is we're supposed to be confused, but I don't know what to, I don't know how to.
This is starting to remind me of? Reminds me of Descender when there was those like 12 issues of one shots in like 3 seconds of real time.
Yeah.
I guess what this feels like. And I mean, it looked great. The story was good, but like, I think we're kind of being duped that this is just almost filler.
Well, it makes me wonder. I'm interested to see when we come out of this, because in the whole book, Bruce or Dick Grayson, Batman can't hear what Pig is saying. The whole time he's deaf to whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure this is all going to pay off in some future issue.
I know, but it just feels weird when you buy it per issue. Like in a trade, issue doesn't matter. You don't really see this because it is a scene within that trade.
Right.
Right. If this was a movie, this wouldn't matter because this would be a scene within the movie. But because this is an issue that you paid for and you're not going to get another one for another like 2 weeks.
Right.
And it doesn't further the story that we've been reading. That's what feels like what? Like it seems weird.
It almost should have been oversized. Because when Damien shows up at the end, you're just like, so
why?
Professor Pig nightmares into Damien, and you're like, okay.
Like you were just saying, I'm sure it's going to make sense eventually.
Yeah.
And in a trade, perfect. But we have to review it for the issue that we read, and I don't feel like there was enough in this issue to justify whether or not it was an issue. You know what I mean? Like it's 2 to 3 pages of content dragged over. And there's been this discussion in the past is, does Tom King kind of drag out scenes sometimes? And I've always been a big supporter of Tom King, saying that he doesn't do that. But in this issue specifically, I did feel like, what are we doing here? Like this is like 2 or 3 pages of content. Especially, I think maybe I was most disappointed because this is the issue that Mitch is on.
Right.
Like this issue where you get somebody on.
But I mean, I'm going to give Mitch credit. This book looks amazing.
I was going to say.
And the crazy factor or whatever Bruce is going through, because the colors are ridiculous. Pig looks amazing.
There's no doubt in my mind that these two are doing great work in this issue.
But I agree that this is actually probably, at least writing wise, probably one of the weaker issues I've read in the past. At least 12. I know Garrett doesn't care for 50. I liked 50.
I'll disagree with you on one point. That I thought the inner monologue was fine. I didn't have any issues with what he was saying. I just felt like, what are we doing here? I get the point after like 2 or 3 pages. And it lasted for
my only thing with the internal monologue is that it felt like a crutch from another writer that I'm just like, I don't care for that. And I realized Tom King normally doesn't do that. And maybe that fits for what the story is.
I was going to say, if it is a nightmare, he's within a dream, then it would be
trying to talk
monologue.
to himself.
He can't talk, really talk.
Right.
It's all going to be monologue.
So maybe it's just...
But like I said, if this was in a trade, I don't think we would have this issue. Yeah. We'd be like, hey, that's a cool scene.
I think even if I was binge... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But if I was binge reading 61, 62, 63, and 64 to get caught up for 65...
I feel like they're going to be all one-shots kind of thing.
Well, and I think you're
different
right.
artists, different story. So I don't know if this is, again, diving more into Bane's master plan.
Well, this originally was issue 61. And they made issue 61 because this was delayed a little bit. So I'm not sure if that ruins the story for any reason and why it seems like this comes out of nowhere. It might, because this might be supposed to be the first part of this story and they changed it to have the other part be the first part. We'll see. Like I said, and that's the danger always, and we've had that discussion on this show multiple times with a trade reader versus an issue reader, is that a trade reader will never notice this. Like a trade reader just reads it like, that was fantastic. Because some things read better in trade. And if you're going to pull off this kind of issue, in trade it's going to be fine. But in issues like we read, for me, it just felt, I don't want to say like a waste of time, because I did enjoy the way it was put together. But that's taking it from like, hey, this panel works great, the art's great, the way this is framed is great, but it's great for like 2 to 3 pages of content.
Well, I think that also goes back to what we've talked about is you can have a great book, but if it doesn't stick the landing, and I think we usually say that on arcs or actually grand stories, but on the actual single issue, if it doesn't stick the landing, and that's where I think that we're all confused. It's just like it didn't end like with a satisfying note.
In terms of being interesting, it wasn't interesting at all. Like I think after like page 7, I was zoning. I was just trying to get through it.
All right,
but it looked great, and it felt like it had a good flow. Like Tom King did a good job with that, but also I felt like, well, okay, what's going on? I get it.
It kind of felt like a Haneen issue for me. Like you said, you read about half of it and then you got kind of bored, or even a fourth of it. Because that's always happens to me when I read the Haneen issues. They look amazing, but I really don't care about all the repetitive words I'm seeing. And that's what happened in this book. There's repetitive things over and over and over again. It's, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. And maybe, again, once we get past this issue, but unfortunately, when you talk about one issue at a time, it's kind of hard to...
I think it also stands out more because, like we were saying, Batman's been fantastic recently. And so to have this issue, which, like I'm saying, it's not bad. Like, put together, like, these two obviously are great at what they do, but also it's a little boring.
When's the last comic you've read where they're doing one scene? Like, usually there's so much going on, you're trying to get to some objective that there's a little bit more... What?
Black
No, but
Widow
she changed the setting. She goes, that's not all one scene.
Well, I guess to me that's one scene. She didn't no time lapsed other than her running away.
I know, but this is literally one room,
one
place, him monologuing the entire time. Professor Pig, last page changes into Damien.
But I will admit that I did get a little nauseated when Bruce is hanging upside down and you just watch Professor Pig tromp around in the pig's blood. It's like, okay, that's a pretty sick bastard right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very bloody, gory issue.
And it made me wonder, and I realized if this is a dream, no wonder the Dollatrons never showed up. They're not real. They're not there. Even in this dream realm.
Changed the Batarang to the movie universe Batarang.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Boo. It's got like a thick border on the Batarang.
Maybe it's just in his dreams.
I would say he really sharpened.
He watched the movies and it's stuck in his dreams. You know how that happens.
I would give this a 7.
Yeah, it was a 7 for me. It was like, hey, it's like I said,
had winning points, but it wasn't amazing.
This is obviously the work of two people who know how to make comics, but there was not enough interest for me within this comic to be like, hey, that was a great issue. Like, if I had skipped this issue, I think it would have been okay.
I think this was a star power misdirect to be like, hey, we got these two great people.
It just seemed like a waste for them to do.
Mr. Miracle, did you guys see that? Now they're on this book. Oh, okay.
Hey, that is one thing I will say is like it's nice that Mitch Gerads is really good with his style palettes because like I could tell this was completely different.
Yeah, it was different
from Mr. Miracle.
Batman 62. Marvin, criminal number 1. That is Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker. His son, I forget what his first name is, but he's on colors. Sean Phillips' son. Criminal number 1. So let me circle back. I'm going to start from the end to the beginning, and not the end of the story, but the end of the back matter. Did you read the back matter, Alex?
Nope.
I did.
In the back matter, he says that he goes through the criminal, basically, kind of history. He goes through all the books and kind of tells how they started the first 2, and after that, they kind of realize what they can do with these books. And a lot of these characters that are in this issue or in those books, and it's basically a series in which you can read any trade by itself. However, it all connects in a way, but it's not connected in a way which you have to read this one first. It's all we can read and see the connections.
I see, like I read that back matter, and it seems like a lot of it has to revolve around the Lawless family.
Yeah, that's and in the first issue, in the first trade, what was his name? Tracy, maybe.
I'd have to look at it, but I know that it's called Coward.
But he's also in this issue we see the character from Lawless, I believe, or his brother, one of the two, but his father especially. So the story is about his father, Teague, and the two kids in the story. The other kid is the person from Coward,
Ricky, and the other kid. I don't remember what his name was.
So
Matt, what? No, that's
the old man.
That's the one they beat the shit out of.
I know, but they were young at one point.
No, but the two young kids that went to his house.
Yeah,
so Ricky and
Tracy, I believe, right? No, Ricky
Tracy doesn't seem right.
No, Ricky and somebody else. They go to somebody's house, a guy that obviously is too old to remember what his grandson looks like, and tells them a story and how they got this necklace from Japan, how they robbed and stole it. And he steals the necklace, and they go all try to pawn it to get bail money for their dad, Teague. when Teague finds out what they did, he breaks his son's arm and basically goes to the mobsters and was like, hey, I can make this up. And then so they go, okay, you're going to pay for this, this, and this, $25,000. And he's like, well, can I work it off? He goes, no, that's not going to happen anymore because we don't trust you anymore.
Yeah, or he said is you're too old for that too.
So $25,000, you pay us, I'll give you 2 weeks to do it. And Teague's like, how do I make this money? And the part I thought was great, and what Criminal really excels at is something that also like Sopranos and Breaking Bad does well, is that the bad guys, like when he's in the motel room, or I don't know if it was his house or motel room, it looked like a motel room, sitting on the couch watching TV while his son is in the background with the broken arm, you can see. In that moment, he's trying to figure out how to make that money up. And you do feel for this character being like, how is he going to make that money? You feel nervous for him. But then also, if you really do think about it,
he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He broke his son's arm like literally 2 scenes ago. He's trying to get $25,000, and you know the only way he's trying to think of what kind of score he can do to get it. So he's obviously not thinking of some way. I mean, there's no way in 2 weeks he's making $25,000 legally. So all this stuff is bad, but yet the character himself, you do feel for in a way because
he has his own inner turmoil. Turmoil.
Yeah, and the thing is that. So,
but he's the Dr. Doom of this book. He's the character that what he is doing, he thinks is right, even though it's wrong.
That's what I was going to say. Like he still has morals, even though if they're bad. But he does have kind of what do you call it?
He's got a
code. He's got a code, right? And he's going to go by them.
Well, he sleeps with his
he's dead.
his dad's best friend's lady, and it appears that he did that when he was alive.
He still felt bad about it. He slept on the couch. So let's not forget
he was guilty after he did.
Hey. And let's not forget that guy also was ripping them off, and he pissed on his grave. So
to be fair, he got jacked to what, $30,000. So
what was his name? Alvarin.
Yeah.
Arvin. So he fucked his wife, but also he was fucking him while he was alive. He didn't know about it. So they both got fucked over. And I love this issue, except for one thing, and it's not really enough for me to be like, "Oh, this book's not good anymore." I'll deal with it. But I love the whole story. I love Sean Phillips' art. I do not enjoy, and that's the same thing with that book there. I do not enjoy his son's coloring at all. It's Jordi Valera's coloring is fantastic, and I understand we're going from the best colorist in the whole world to somebody who's trying to, like, he's done a little bit.
Is Jordi the one who normally does it?
Yeah, Jordi usually.
No.
I was thinking Betty. Yeah, it's
Brett
Betty Roberts. Excuse me.
Okay, I thought no.
Which also is, I think, one of the top 2 colors in the world. So,
where is she?
I think she's taking a break from comics.
Oh, okay.
This book seemed too light, too pastel bright.
Yeah, it was more watercolor styled. Where I feel like Jordi is like, I'm not Jordi.
Stop it,
Betty is like color penciled.
Yeah.
It's more muted. And I think it will take some getting used to, but in this first issue, it took me out a little bit because I kept staring at it being like, that's not how I see Criminal.
Well, I think there's not as many defined lines either because it looked like a lot of characters' faces were mush.
Can you give me that Criminal back there? I want to take a look. I got to remind myself. Let me look at this.
The thing is that, unfortunately, like I'm looking at Killer Be Killed right now, issue 18 or whatever Marvin's got sitting next to him. And that book is amazingly beautiful. That art is spectacular, and I realized a lot of it is made the lines look better, but with Brightweiser on that book, it's spectacular. Excuse me, I agree. This issue 1, it still looked good.
Here, I'll give you an example.
As top notch as
I'll give you an example. This is how this looks. So I'm showing them Criminal, but with Betty.
Lawless issue 1, probably.
And it does look more defined. So if you want to grab that, and actually he explains, Alex, in the back matter that this takes place in the same world as Criminal.
Oh, seriously?
My heroes have always been junkies. So it's like a more watercolor style, right?
Yeah, but actually when I look at this one looks better than what I had seen today.
And I think it's because with Criminal, I expect it to look a certain way. In this one, it's like, okay, that's fine. That's its own thing. It's still in the same universe, which is fine. I don't know. I'll get over it quick. It was still fantastic. It bugged me a little bit.
From my perspective, after never reading anything Criminal except for that book, I have read that. My heroes have always been junkies.
Did you ever get that Criminal one shot or the 1 or 2 shots?
No, it's collected in trade.
They're collected in trade, yeah. What I thought was I really enjoyed it. I think it was good for new readers, and I think that the back matter in that book kind of explains what you kind of need to know, like the bullet points, but it's not anything that's like crucial to the story. So I think, I mean, what I read,
it's more synopsis being like, here's what the book's about, but it doesn't tell you anything like spoilers.
So what I read and like caught up, I was like, I'm excited for the next issue. I think what you can tell, this is like the fade out and like everything else. It's got more of that slow burn, which I mean, a good parallel, I think you're right, is like Breaking Bad,
which is different. If you in the back matter, he says all the other ones came out like in graphic novel form and came out, and they wanted to do something more ongoing, because when he started writing this book, My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. Have Always Been Junkies. I always get the title mixed up. That when this takes place in that world, he realized how much he missed it and didn't want to leave it anymore. And then when they started, let's do an ongoing, he realized we could do anything with this. I could do one shots. I could do 2-issue arcs. If we want to do an arc that lasts for like 10 issues, we can do that too. Like there's so many possibilities he can do in the world of Criminal. He's like, why is this not an ongoing? So that's why, hence the new ongoing. He wants to be able to flex his writing and not be constrained to just one contained story like this. He wants to be able to be like, okay, let's do it in one shot. It takes place in Criminal, so it's not always going to be about this character. This isn't the whole book. It's about Teague. It's just basically going to be a criminal anthology kind of book.
Rock on.
Which I am so excited for. And when I read that, it'd be like, yeah, you need to come back, Ed. Like, I love his criminal book.
So did you read that part in the back in the letter? It might make you cringe. He was like, I was working on the Killer Be Killed spinoff. Or no, was it the Fade Out?
Fade Out.
Fade Out. And then he's like, let me set that aside to work on
Fade
this.
Out 2, he put to the side to work on criminal. Which is fine.
I know, but I think he put in parentheses like, sorry.
The Fade Out's great, but I can wait for Criminal.
I read Fade Out. It's a great book, like Marvin just said, but Criminal is one of those books that if you're not putting it on your stack, I think you are missing out. This is one of those books, kind of like what Royal City, it's real character. I mean, it makes you feel like these are real characters having real problems. When I was told that Teague broke his son's arm, I was like, you motherfucker. I should go break your arm.
You feel bad for him, but then also you feel bad for him. He broke his arm, right? But then the mobster's like, if you don't give us that money, we're going to bash your son's skull in. And he's like, I got to get that money. So he obviously still cares about this kid, but he also has anger issues.
A little deranged and fucked up.
So, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, he's still trying to do a good thing for his kid, and he obviously likes his kid. His kid likes him enough to bail him out of jail and take that risk, like breaking into somebody's house and stealing a necklace. But also the guy, is not the best father. So,
to be fair,
we've seen that in those one shots.
To be fair, he wouldn't have had to break his son's arm if the kid hadn't gotten caught stealing from that old man.
Well, he didn't get caught. Didn't he bring it to?
He grabbed the jewel, and the old man goes, "No one touches that."
Oh, I see.
So then they beat the shit out of him.
But I thought it was the pawn person that knew that who it was for, and the one that tattled.
Well, I'm assuming he's come there before.
Yeah,
to pawn
that's
things.
the one that tattled for sure.
Oh, really?
Frankie. Yeah. They mentioned
woman?
Frankie's
the
the
woman did. Yeah.
Okay.
The old man, he didn't even know if that was his grandson. You think he remember once he walked out?
Forgot like 3 seconds
he
after
probably
the kid
woke up and was like,
necklace.
did I fall down the stairs?
Oh, man.
It did light a fire under me to go read the previous novel so I can catch up.
Yeah, this is as fantastic in terms of writing and Sean Phillips' art. It's just colored a little different. So
And I think the coloring will be, I mean, like you said,
I'll get used to it.
We're not expecting it.
I'm not saying that like ruined the whole book.
You said it was shit. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm just saying it kind of bugged me.
Right.
So this was like a strong 9, almost a 10. I enjoyed it. It is as good as the rest of the Criminals, and all of Criminal is on Hoopla, so you want to get in there. Or you might want to check out your new Prime Reading. It might be on there too. So
I don't know. Part of me is I'm on the edge because I want to give it a 10 because I really did enjoy it. There wasn't anything that, I'm going to give it a 10. This had nothing wrong with it. I can get over the coloring, and I'm excited to be back in this world.
I'm going to give it an 8. Just as a new reader of the Criminal Universe, like I think I dipped my toes in, but there, again, at the end of the issue, I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to read the next issue. It was more like, this is very interesting, and I definitely want to get into this world more.
The first one's on Prime. Reading, so there you go.
I got Hoopla.
And Hoopla has all of them. Fantastic. I love Criminal. It's one of my favorite series of all time. And actually, stay tuned in the show. I got an announcement to make. Go ahead. Alex, what else?
What else did we get this week? We got some Green Lantern, number 3, written by Grant Morrison, art by Liam Sharp. What'd I do? Oh, shit. Sorry, I stole yours. I even asked him before the show, hey, you want Marvel or DC?
Just fuck off and say it.
Sorry. So anyway, Grant Morrison wrote some Green Lantern number 3 with Liam Sharp on art.
Grant Morrison on Green Lantern. Let me just tell you one thing. First off, I can't remember. I know at least somebody on this podcast, maybe multiple people, had, I think it was Garrett. I don't want to call him out, but he pointed at you.
Reservations
about Liam Sharp doing art. But,
no, that wasn't me. That was him.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
I thought we were talking about we didn't like issue 1 or 2 or something.
But I think that Liam Sharp has proven, especially in this issue, that he's the right person.
Yes.
Oh, he locked it in for sure.
Holy shit, it's so good art-wise. Yep. Like the detail, like I
There's
think the
that
issue
big
was
spaceship in this issue, that big blown up picture of space and like a hotel or something.
Yeah, it's like
holy
so
shit. There's so
specific.
much detail in that. It's amazing.
You know what the thing is too? Like when he did Wonder Woman and he did his own what the fuck's it called? Brave and the Bold. Like I felt like those look great, but they weren't. This looks a little different. Like this almost looks like a James Stokey kind of detailed art, and it's him like having fun with doing all this stuff, being very creative.
But it's a different style than he normally has. Because even in the Brave and the Bold, it is very detailed when you look at Bruce's lips. And
he did those pages like they do in Swamp Thing, where they got the borders and like the mythical gods.
Yeah,
and Greek
this one
stuff.
I'm imagining he's like, okay, this is a cosmic story. I get to just whatever the hell I want to draw. I'm doing it.
Know anything of Grant Morrison? I read one of his scripts recently, and he's very detailed in the scripts. And when he wants to see in the page, like, and he kind of builds a picture, and he doesn't write a script like normal people, I'll say, or normal writers. It kind of really is like a story, and so maybe that was exciting to Liam Sharp to be like, oh, I can look at all this stuff I'm going to be able to do, which I think I do like. The Grant Morrison part of this book is great. I think it's the Grant Morrison that I kind of like, that just is fucking crazy and like doing whatever he wants to do, like have Hal go against God, and turns out to be God. It's actually a monster, but I think Liam Sharp is the biggest surprise in this book, and so it makes me so excited to begin this book.
For the record, I actually got more excited to think that Hal really was going to go have a conversation with God. No way did I expect it to be God, but I like the fact that they really did stick to it for quite a while until his ring tells him, by the way, that's not actually a deity, that's a monster in disguise.
Well, God outbid everybody else on that auction, so he got Earth. He wanted Section 34, right?
Right.
And he got it, and then eventually, he wasn't a deity. He actually was a bug. Or was it a bug?
It was like
he looked like a guy from Men in Black.
He was an
right?
earth-eating monster.
That kind of weird.
He was like a cockroach from Men in
scraggly.
Black. That alien guy. He kind of looked like. That's what it reminded me of.
I think this issue was my favorite so far, and I think it really hit its stride. Like the first two, like I was just trying to get used to maybe how Grant Morrison's going to write this story, and then this one was full on Hal Jordan being a space cop. And then
I think the thing though, in this issue proved it more than the other two. This whole series is going to be crazy. It's going to be B, filled with, like, I did some research afterwards, and this should actually be somebody doing articles on this, like, annotated, because a lot of these characters between these books are DC characters. They just haven't been around for a long time. Like, they're Silver Age characters, and it's like, dude, like, but that's Grant Morrison. He's going to go back and find, he's going to go find something that, a character has been using like 30 years and bring it back. And so it's going to be crazy. It's going to have a lot of lore like that, where it's going to reference all those things, but also the story about like slavery. Like this issue is basically about slavery, and touch on those points, but not like hit you in the face with that, but just be like, okay, like you said, it could be, or you just said, I don't know why I put it to Alex. It could be a fun story of Hal Jordan being a cop the whole time. And if you want, here's something a little on the side, and it's actually, there's some subtext about slavery in here. And, or, hey, look at this great art, and actually, and then some, dark humor where it's like, oh God, and Hal Jordan are going to go one-on-one. And that's like, oh, he's not actually God, he's a bug.
I found my favorite Green Lantern is that volcano one.
The volcano one?
He is my favorite.
I like the little ice one.
Oh, the ice dude? I was thinking there's
ice
the
dude's pretty cool.
The weird like
one.
Shelly dude who's only got one eye, who has like a cannon on his back.
Oh, okay.
I think a part of me is I'm going to enjoy this book for the fact that there are not going to be any of the other 2814 Green Lanterns. Guy's not going to be there. I'm sure Kyle and John won't be there. It's going to be these weirdos that, like you said, have not been around for 40 years, and now they're coming back to make a show. Spectacular.
The only thing I was confused this issue is, who the fuck's Tom? Like, I get who Tom is in this issue, but like Green Lantern's talking to Tom like the entire issue, and I'm like, who are you?
I don't know why I chose to eat while we were talking about this book, but I'm hungry.
I wasn't going to ask.
I don't know who he is, but I guarantee you
I think
he's
it's a
probably a
girl.
character from Silver Age or something. I can look it up right now.
Okay, because I was like, I think it's a girl too.
But I actually, you said that I liked issue 2, and I realized we're talking about issue 3.
Mm-hmm.
But issue 2, I felt had really good cop work,
Yeah,
and that's what makes me excited about this book. Is just seeing if this really is going to be a space cop, and it's going to not be not that necessarily that there are rules. Oh, that's what happened. Never mind. I almost spoiled it for everybody. I'm sorry.
Thomas Pie-Faced Kalmaka is a fictional character, a supporting character associated with Green Lantern.
Which one was Pie-Face?
that's his like middle name.
That's what it says. I don't know. This is
Well, who's Tom?
Tom is that one that Hal's talking to all of issue 3 when he's not talking to the godlike demon bug thing.
Oh, you know who in that movie, the Green Lantern movie, the horrible one we all saw together? You know his friend in that movie?
That's Tom.
That's Tom.
Oh God,
I don't remember that movie, guys.
that's because you were seeing CGI penis. So.
You know what is hilarious to me? Speaking of movies, when I was reading this issue and we know DC is bringing back a Green Lantern movie, I was like, man, if they made it like this, literally,
Who would
it'd be
watch
so
that?
fucking trippy and being like, what's this about? And like, I think it would be cool, but it would be cool for like me and like maybe
Yeah, you'd
you
have
guys.
to be a fan.
It wouldn't be
Yeah.
like
I don't even know if I would
appeal to
enjoy
the
it. It'd be
mass.
so fucked up.
But if it was
No.
like this crazy and detailed, like on screen, I think that would be fun. But also, I'm not normal, so I'm not like I can watch shit movies, not shit movies, but movies that are crazy like that.
I think like Grant, he's like getting to the point in the story where I've gotten warmed up to how he's gonna write this one, and now I'm just enjoying it because like this story, you know, the first 2 issues there's parts that are like confusing me, and I was just like, okay, like I see what's kind of happening. And then this third one I like clicked, and I'm like, I'm getting the story 100%. Like there's a way that Grant writes that can be confusing, but if you kind of understand how he writes, it's not so
You know what
bad.
it is like so. All Star Superman, I'll say I recommend that book to a lot of people, and I feel like there's a Grant Morrison in Claus. Grant Morrison and Claus are a Grant Morrison that is more interested in telling a narrative, and so it's not as confusing. There are parts of it that are weird, right? In All Star Superman, I think issue 7 or something like that. There's one weird issue in the middle of that whole thing. But then we have a Grant Morrison that's like the Arkham Asylum, the Annihilation kind of Grant Morrison, and that's a Grant Morrison that. The way to read that Grant Morrison, I think the way to read this Green Lantern Grant Morrison is to read it and not be too concerned if you understand what's going on. And just read it and be like, okay, eventually you'll get there. And if you have to go back and reread it, like sometimes you have to do that too. It's kind of like you have to be like, okay, I believe in this guy. Let me read this real quick. And I won't be concerned that it's going to make sense within the first 5 pages. Like by the end, I'll probably be like, okay, I like it or I don't like it. So this was a good 9 for me.
9, 100%. I think
The art was fantastic. Grant Morrison writing is fantastic. Like Alex said, I'm docking it at a point just because I thought he would be going one-on-one with actual God, and I want to see that I want to see that battle. So
8. This would be an 8 for me. It's good. Like this art, I was very impressed by Liam Sharp art. Not being a fan on Grant Morrison, that lost a point, and not duking out with God lost another point. So.
this would not be a book that I would say to anybody, be like, oh, you should pick up this book. This clearly is for somebody who is looking for this type of book.
I don't even know if it's a book for me when I got issue 1. So
Just stick around. You'll love it by the
I
end.
didn't say this is a book that I want to be on the Green Lantern train, and so by all means, I will continue to get this unless this book really does turn out to be shit.
Hey, you might have boarded the Green Lantern train, but you're leaving a Grant Morrison fan.
I doubt that, but we can try.
Garrett, what was the book Alex was supposed to talk about?
We got Miles Morales Spider-Man #2, written by Saladin Ahmed and art by Javi Garon. We got a little Miles Morales Rhino team up that kind of spurred at the end of the last issue. What do you guys think?
I think a problem is I really enjoyed parts of this book, but there's something that's rubbing me wrong, and I'm not sure yet what it is.
So Rhino in this book I thought was great. I like the Rhino. The art's okay. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. It's somewhere
it's not
between
like the last Ultimates.
It's somewhere between
bad.
somewhere between passable and good.
Yeah.
The story I think is good. Miles is kind of different than I've used to seeing him. He seems a little shallow. Like he seems like he's not fully like the Brian Michael Bendis Miles. I felt like was more fully rounded out, and this character seems like we're trying to get there because he's in college, so he's kind of reestablishing what's going on.
He's in college. I thought he was in high school.
It's high school.
Oh, it's in high school. They're in
Brooklyn
dorm
Visions
and stuff.
Academy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think I kind of agreed. The parallel between Bendis's Miles Morales versus this one seems a little more calculated. Like, that was the quirky part about Miles Morales. He's a very confident when he needs to be, but when not, like, he's like sweating balls. Like, he's like, oh crap, like, I made a huge mistake. Like, that's just who he is as a character. He's not this suave, charming guy that just like happens to be 100% James Bond all the time. Like, and that's what I'm thinking this Spider-Man is too, is like when he's with the Rhino, he's like saying all these smart things. He's like, oh, I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, he's been Spider-Man for two, almost 3 years. But it does feel like a different Miles. It feels like if Miles had an older brother, this is who
maybe that's
Spider-Man
it.
would be.
This doesn't feel like the young 15-year-old kid or 16-year-old kid that he should be.
Oh, he's a little older.
He carries himself. Maybe that's the thing. Is a lot of when he's talking around, he sounds too mature, and it bugs me. And there's a character in this book that I was actually really excited to see. Spoilers: Tombstone's in this, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, I thought you were going to say Captain America.
Well, I was going
Captain
to.
America's
end?
cameo was amazing.
Oh, really? Because I hated it.
I liked it.
What a way to not let this be a Spider-Man book.
What do you mean?
I like that Rhino, Miles, and Captain are going to work together.
Dude,
I just think it's
going to be a little rough for you to read Ultimate Spider-Man if you got to get over the fact that Spider-Man teams
I understand
up
what
with other guys.
Alex is saying. Book 2 already. Yeah.
Let a fucking book be a book.
I was just excited.
It's like, the Avengers showed up. Wow, I don't have to do anything.
Well,
Who
to
gives
be
a fucking
fair,
shit?
Avenger.
To be fair, when he first came to the Marvel Universe, Miles Morales #1 had the whole Avengers in it. So there you go.
Yeah, I read that one. He fights Dark Horse or whatever his name is.
And
I'm the only one who can stop you.
saves
Then he
them
gets
all.
the shit kicked out of him. If only. If I wrote that book.
I don't know how I feel about this yet. They're trying to make him more like Peter Parker, so he's kind of,
but not. They're making him intelligent, but they're not making him fun.
Yeah.
maybe he doesn't seem fun.
But I mean, like, also, like, he's trying to live that dual life, and they're showing that, like, he doesn't get enough rest, and he's trying to do school. The only difference is that his parents know that he's Spider-Man, and his friend does, so he can talk to them. But then we introduce this girl that he likes, and he can't tell her, so that's the conflict there.
And her young brother is cousin. I mean, is evil.
So there's a little Peter Parker. They made it a little bit different, but essentially it's the same thing. So it feels like Miles used to be fresh and a fresh take on this kind of story, and it seems like they're trying to put him in the Peter Parker role now. That's, I think,
which is a huge bummer
sure.
because, like I said, Miles is a way different character than this. Like, Miles is not always this sure. He's not always like, and I get it, it's issue 2. Like, you can't have the worst thing ever happen to you, but he seems pretty happy-go-lucky for not being on his own in New York City with a bunch of supervillains.
Hey, question for you. Mm-hmm. Does he have the, like, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where his body makes his web?
No,
or has he got
him,
Okay.
In the first crossover, Peter Parker gives himself.
Okay. I just want to make sure that in Spider-Man, he gives him the web slingers. Yep. Okay. Because when there's that first, I think it was issue 1, where Rhino and him Rhino doesn't want to fight him, but Spider-Man keeps attacking him and web slinging him, and he just keeps ripping out of it and goes, oh man, that was like all the web I had that should have stopped you. Are you new? Are you new at this? Does the other Spider-Man know that you're doing this? There's things that made me laugh like that, where it was Rhino being funny, kind of being a dick, going, does Spider-Man know you're doing this? Because
I like Rhino in this issue a lot.
But I'm biased. I'm much like you. I like Rhino.
Well, I think like there's actually
good
character
Rhino.
development for him.
Yeah, where he's not just a big dumb thing running around.
And he's like, I get what it's like when people look at me differently.
It was so. Here's the.
And then Miles says that. Like, did you guys feel that way too? So Rhino says that line where he's like, I get it when people look at me differently. And then Miles says it, and I just felt like for that book, I was like, what? Like, I don't think you look like a big giant Rhino. I get it, like what he's saying. He's like, people look at me funny, whatever. But I'm like,
well, no, he's saying that. So Rhino was like, you don't know what it's like for people to look at you like this because it's the way he is big and like that. And Miles is like, you don't know how right you are because he's African American.
Well,
he's African American and mixed with he's Latino.
Yeah, but Rhino doesn't know that.
That's what he said. He goes, he doesn't know.
So Spider-Man's being a dick and taking off someone else's pain, going, "Yeah, bro, I know what you're saying."
Yeah,
he doesn't say it out loud. Isn't it internal?
I think he says it out loud.
He says it out loud to Rhino.
He says, "Oh, I know what you mean." He goes, and then he says in internal, like, "You don't know how true that is."
So Rhino's
only if you knew. That's what he says.
I guess, but.
By the way, so this was for me. It was better than an average comic, but I'm gonna just give it a 6. It was like passable.
I'm sitting at.
I'm not sure if I want to
7.
keep getting this.
Like I did. I did enjoy it, and I think the standout character was Rhino, 100%.
Yeah, Captain America is going to make me get issue 3, and my love for Miles is going to make me get issue 3.
I mean,
it's very quickly could drop off.
Cameo-wise, Cap killed it. Like, I did not see Cap coming. When he showed up, I was like, oh, shit, that's a good clip.
How did he get there? I realized I shouldn't be asking this question.
It's in New York.
Ow, so you kicked me in the
He lives in New York. What do you mean?
It looked like he showed up out of just like a random container. Hey, guys,
how stealth this guy is. I wanted to talk to you. What did you give it?
I might give it a 6. This was.
What did you give it?
Fine.
I gave it a 7.
I want to throw you guys away. Did you notice in the first issue this weird panel when they're in the park? Did you look at this closely? I see it right here. So look at
You have to show me.
So this page here. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Okay. If you look close enough, which on digital I was, because I have it on guided reading, so I can see the words, so it zooms in. First off, Miles is so tall, and look at his face, big old mouth, just like a kid drew this in his eyes. But that's not even the best part. Look at his quote unquote girlfriend. I don't know. Like this guy trying to save some time drawing this face.
Dude, yeah, you can't even. What the fuck?
Wow.
They look like Legos.
I laughed for so much because I read these two back to back, and I was like, I saved it because I got to show them later. I don't know what's happening in this picture, but fantastic.
That's ridiculous. Yes, it looks like Emmett from Lego.
It's a far away picture, and you can tell he's like, "Fuck, I don't want to draw a detailed face." So he's like, "Dot smiley face." Like, dude, what the fuck?
didn't even try.
It's like, yeah, he didn't want to spend any time with that face. I would rather have been a blank face.
Yeah.
That threw me off.
I'll admit this is probably one of those books that, much like you, depending on how issue 3 and 4 go, I may be dropping because I don't know if I want to like the book. This isn't.
I think they need a better artist on the book.
Yeah,
And the story needs to have more character development for sure.
And I think a part is that we're seeing Spider-Man go through this, like you said, the Peter Parker thing, where I'm going to school. Oh, I gotta be Spider-Man. Oh, I gotta have friends.
We've seen that already.
I have a family. I don't care. I've already seen it. I don't care. Show me something I haven't seen.
It seems like it's not bad. It's a little mediocre, and I just wish that Miles, because when he was in the Ultimate Universe, he was so good, dude.
Yeah.
And when he got brought over, ever since he's been brought over, I haven't enjoyed anything they've done with him.
But,
so I just wish they could get back to that.
It's lackluster because a part of it is that that Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate
was so good.
It was, but I think still when Bendis was writing it before he left, it was still really good. But I guess you dropped off it on that point.
Yeah, I give it a little bit, but all the interaction with the main Marvel universe,
Spider-Man?
Yeah, he didn't feel special anymore.
No, that's because Gold Balls was in it, and who gives a shit about that Gold Balls?
And you know why? I think this is what I enjoyed about the Ultimate Miles Morales, was that he was put into that situation becoming Spider-Man in a time in which, spoilers, and I think you know about this, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything, Peter Parker got killed.
What?
They needed a Spider-Man.
The death of Spider-Man, he dies, and Miles gets his power, and he becomes Spider-Man during a time in which they're mourning Spider-Man, New York City is, and Peter Parker, because they find out that he was Spider-Man. And so Miles has to make a couple choices. A, does he even want this responsibility? Because he's so young in that book. How does he even want to do? Because in that point in that comic, his dad hates Spider-Man. So it's like, does he want to do it? Like, is it worth it to, because he believes his dad and like, oh, should I be doing this? Is he disrespecting Peter Parker by doing this? Is really going to be like people are going to see him as a hero, or are going to see him be disrespectful? And like all these aspects bring nuance to this character in which it's hard enough already that he's trying to be Spider-Man and figure out his powers, and he doesn't really want these powers. But then also everybody is against him. And then when his dad finds out that he's Spider-Man, he kind of disowns him a little bit. And then his mom, something happens to his mom. I forgot you haven't read this yet.
No,
his mom dies.
Yeah.
And
killed by... Oh, okay, I'm not going to spoil that. Just keep going.
His mom dies. And so like you have this character in which tragic things happen to him and he didn't ask for it, just like the original Spider-Man. But also you have the added aspect of the legacy of Peter Parker and a Spider-Man who gave up his life to stop the Green Goblin.
That's probably one of the best stories I've ever read, is the death of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's really good. But I mean, that's what it's like. When I read that and we get to that part of it, I was like, how can you top this? Miles Morales is coming. When they announced that, I was like, how's that going to work? Is it just going to be like a replacement for Peter? And it wasn't. It was his own thing. And there was, like I said, nuance to that character that was very interesting to read. And I thought it was a fresh take on the Spider-Man story. This Spider-Man, what they're doing to him now, just seems like they're placing him in Peter Parker's spot to be like, hey, we need a Peter Parker because our Peter Parker's older now. So, like,
yeah, but the Peter Parker that we got right now is actually very decent and is a good book and amazing.
I feel like this is a placeholder for when they're eventually going to get a good team on this book. I'm not saying this is a bad team.
Like I said, the writer's okay.
Yeah.
The artist is a little more subpar, but I don't have it. It's a 6, which isn't bad, but also...
But it means it could grow.
It could, yeah, it needs to grow from this.
If the writer is good, and I'm not saying that they're not, but the story isn't very good. It's not a strong story. Yes, the idea of the team
I'll agree
up
with
is
that.
fine.
I don't think the plot's really that good for a first arc.
But the team up is fine. That actually doesn't bother me. It's nice to see Rhino, and Rhino isn't always a bad guy, and he's not being a bad guy. He's just trying to find his ex-wife's or girlfriend's niece or kid or something. Great. That's awesome. Actually, that's some of my favorite issues was Amazing Spider-Man 617, where Rhino isn't a bad guy. Sweet. My only thing is that there's, not to make a joke of my own, stakes in this book. Not that I expect Miles Morales to get the shit kicked out of him, but there's nothing there that is grabbing me going, man, this is a great read.
You know, actually, Donny Cates' Miles Morales in the Venom issue, I think it was the best Miles Morales I've seen since he came over.
That was really good. Yeah, you almost wish that Donnie... There should have been a bigger name on this book. I'm all for new talent. That's great. But, like, when your Marvel Mecha just left and he wrote Miles Morales, I think you need some big guns for this character who's starring in a movie that you guys just produced this year.
Was I crazy, or did I think... Because I think I said on the forecast that Brian Hill was writing this book.
I thought, no, Brian Hill did the one shot, that annual that
Oh, that's
out.
right. Yeah.
For Amazing Spider-Man?
No, for Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And you had said it was great.
No, that's Corey's favorite comic about
said.
Miles Morales ever.
Corey said it was fantastic.
Okay.
I haven't read it yet.
I haven't either.
But Corey said it was great.
So it'd make me interested to get it.
Hashtag guess also.
But a part of me is also one of those that if I wish Brian Hill was writing it, because I think this book would have been a little more along the lines of what I want. And even if it was the same story, I think it would have been handled differently. That I want to like this book. I just don't think I'm going to.
Fantastic. That is Miles Morales number 2. We also talked about Die number 2. Criminal number 1. Batman 62. And you guys talked about Go-Go Power Rangers number 16. What was the other book? Green Lantern number 3. They pick up those comic books at your local comic shop and support them. Or if you only have online or like it online, there you go online. I'm not your keeper. I don't understand what you do with your life.
I don't know your life.
Here we go.
Not your mom.
For our feature today. Here, I got it right here. We're going to talk about some books coming out in 2019. Go through this. We won't spend too much on this. Luckily, this list has a little snippet of what it's about, who's writing it, and when it comes out. Like what month. There's not actually like a day. Conan the Barbarian we'll skip because that came out already. Garrett loved it. He said he didn't like it. I haven't read it yet. Conan the Barbarian, number 1.
Oh, yeah, not getting issue 2.
I haven't read it yet, so I can't vouch. And Garrett,
I think part of me, I want to get it. I want to like it because it's Jason Aaron, but...
And the art's really good. Story.
Oh, really? Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy number 1 comes out in January. In the wake of the last year's Infinity Wars event, the shattered Guardians of the Galaxy are reforged to quell the fire of war raging across the cosmos. But is the threat of a Mad Titan himself really gone for good? Donny Cates, Jeff Shaw.
You know, that's my most anticipated. But I hate that in the books we're reading, like This Week and stuff, they're already teasing the second issue. And I'm like, stop that shit. I haven't even read issue 1 yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're tishing the cover for like issue 2.
Wink at me.
There's no ads in the digital. So.
Or go fuck yourself.
Captain Marvel. So that one I think we all are going to get.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I would recommend if anybody's listening to this and like, oh, should I get that? Or if you're new to comics, get that. That's a good team.
Yeah.
And I think
great
Jeff Shaw on
team.
art. Hell yeah. And Donny Cates, that book is going to be spectacular.
Even the characters on that team look great. So, Captain Marvel number 1. This is Carol Danvers, has been through some stuff lately, from Family Revelations to Avengers in Space. And it's time for her to come back to New York. But just because she's back in the Big Apple doesn't mean the universe isn't done throwing curveballs at a mighty Captain Marvel. This came out this week. Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnino. Actually, I saw a review for this, and it's supposed to be fantastic. So
I might get it next week. It was just I looked at it and I was like, do I really need to get it?
the Kelly Thompson part interests me. And I do
Yeah,
like Captain
The
Marvel.
art looked
so-
great.
God, I want
And
I'm
even-
going to wait
even-
for this one in trade, but I think it's just movie bait. And I already have an issue that she looks like the movie version of Captain Marvel instead of actual Captain Marvel.
I just wish that the cover was. I think
That's
it's
right.
Amanda Connor did the original cover, and
Yeah,
I don't
she did.
care. I don't care for that one. She looks too boxy.
I said I think I'm going to try it.
You're going to try it?
Yeah, I think so.
Let us know.
Black Widow, #1, new Black Widow series. Natasha Romanoff is back,
Is he in the
extremely not dead, and
What?
extremely
You see the
pissed.
art for that?
Can the Black Widow save herself from the life of darkness once more after being betrayed by the hero she could trust the most? This is Jen Solska, Sylvia Solska, and Flaviano. So basically,
Flaviano's does the Rick Remender book that we're getting with the car and the
Bengal?
girl. Well, that's
Death of
Bengal,
Glory?
yeah. What did Flaviano do?
I don't know.
so basically, Natasha's back after a Cap killed her, Hydrocap. And so she's back and pissed that her basically
She's
best
been back
friend-
for a while. Who gives a shit?
friendly. Are you gonna get that book? I would have to see it.
My only
Black
thing
Widow's
is I
a good
don't know the
character.
team. I don't know these
Yeah,
writers. I
that's what I
don't
was
know
gonna
the
say.
art. That makes me weary.
That's the
Where
thing.
at least I'd rather get Captain Marvel because I know Kelly Thompson. I like her writing style,
I do like Black. Yeah, I agree.
and I like Black Widow.
I do.
but it just
I do like Black Widow, but I don't. Like
Flaviano did the art for Power Man and Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, okay. Fred Lee, Neighborhood Spider-Man #1, another day, another Spider book. This is Tom Taylor, Juan Cabal. Did that come out this week too?
Which one?
sorry.
Fred Lee, Neighborhood Spider-Man. Tom Taylor.
Yes.
Yep.
Tom Taylor, Juan Cabal. Garrett got that right.
Yep.
So-
Super excited.
You haven't read it though.
He might
haven't
let you
read it.
know what he thinks about that on a show in the future, in which we're going to talk about some books. But nothing confirmed. That one, I don't know. I like Spider-Man. I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not obviously like Guest Host 1 or you. I think Alex likes
Did
it
your
more.
brother
I think
get
even Garrett likes
Yeah,
Spider-Man
Corey
more
got
than
it.
me. I do like Miles more than Peter Parker.
no,
Don't at me. Don't send me any messages.
love Peter
I don't
Parker.
care. I don't care to argue that point. But
I don't think that's even worth arguing.
but that's a good team.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the same team that did X-23. I think they've built a pretty good relationship. Now, I wish it was Tom Taylor and David Lopez, but Juan Cabal.
You know that was one thing that missed in all new Wolverine was Lopez leaving.
Oh, God.
if you
What
went
is that
and
person
saw
doing?
Into the Spider-Verse in theaters and you're looking for a Spider-Man book, that's probably a good place to jump on. So it will be it won't be out of continuity, but it'll be its own thing. It's starting
Right.
up brand new, and Tom Taylor and Juan Cabal are good teams.
It's more like, I would say it's not like it's not going to be super, super in-depth like the actual book is. I think it's going to be more of like your
Well, it says
annual.
Fun
this
little
is going to
stories.
bring Peter Parker back down to street level, exploring the trials and tribulations that face spectacular Spider-Man right on his own doorstep. So they're going to be less grand stories. Some of these Spider-Man might be grander stories. This is more just Spider-Man.
If I knew it was going to be like Hawkeye from Matt Fraction, and there were going to be those Russians in their tracksuits going, bro, fuck, I'd be on that book.
I know Garrett's getting this one right here. Invaders #1, the wartime super team is back. Even if they're bringing it,
I know why you're saying that.
Namor the Submariner has a new plans. Submariner, excuse me. That could
Submariner.
be a threat to the whole world, and only Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Human Torch can stop him. This is Chip Zdarsky, Carlos Mango, and Butch Geis. Butch Geis is a good artist. Chip is a good writer. So I will be checking that out because it's my some of my favorite people.
Alma Mater, right there. Alma Mater.
Who's the
Garrett-
writer?
Chip Zdarsky.
Not just Chip. There's 3 different artists. 3 different writers and artists.
What? No, it just says Chip. I don't know.
For Invaders?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking the Marvel Presents.
Oh,
Okay. Not there
Coming
yet.
up, I think.
Champions #1. It's what Garrett was talking about on the Gauntlet earlier this week. So that's Jim Zub and Stephen Cummings. That's a younger team, Kamala Khan and all the rest of the champions. So if you're reading that story, it's kind of a reboot. If you weren't reading and it looked interesting, you can jump on there. Man Without Fear #1. That's been coming off for a little bit here. And no, I haven't read it. Jed McKay and Danilo Bedworth.
are you getting it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know how good it's going to be because it's going to merge the 2 Daredevil series together. It's kind of showing you who's going to become Daredevil. I mean, it's obviously going to be crucial information, but
Where's
I don't
Matt
know.
Murdock?
Age of X-Men Alpha 1. This is Zach Thompson, Lonnie Nadler, and Ramon Rosona. I think I can speak to everybody here that the X-Men books, we kind of stay away from a little bit now.
Which is unfortunate. I like the X-Men, but
this
every
is-
book, much like their
I'm
movies
so
lately,
done with
are
X-Men.
horrible.
I can't get on an X-Men book.
As
Just can't.
Alex said, this is probably number 20 on the X-Men line. So,
Oh, yeah.
They seriously have such a problem with X-Men. Just can't
Marvel
even figure it
80th anniversary. There's going to be some one-shots here. Crypt of Shadows number 1. That's Al Ewing, Gary Brown. Journey into the Unknown Worlds. That's Cullen Bunn. War is Hell number 1. That's Howard Chaykin. Marvel Comics. So if you want to get those one-shots, there you go. Marvel Comics Presents number 1. This is what he was talking about. The iconic Marvel series comes back for the company's 80th birthday, gathering a trio of 1940 set tales focusing on Wolverine, Captain America, and Namor. This is Charles Soule, and Nocente, Greg Pak, Tom Coker, and Paulo Sequeira, and more. So
Tom Coker, where you been, bro?
Yeah, where you been? Wolverine, The Long Night number 1. That started this week also, so if you want to pick that up, it's Ben Percy. Did you get that?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Ben Percy and Marcio Takara. Star Wars Age of the Republic. So if you want an anthology Star Wars series celebrating all 3 eras of Star Wars movies, continuing its trek across characters and times of the prequel saga, the tale celebrating Jedi Knights, mystery bounty hunters, clones, and everyone's favorite senator, Jar Jar Binks. Obi-Wan number 1 is by Jody Hauser and Corey Smith. Jango Fett number 1 is by Jody Hauser and Luke Ross. And Age of Republic Special number 1 is by Jody Hauser and Mark Guggenheim and Chip Zdarsky. So there you go.
They've done a couple of those so far, but I think this is the first one's with Jody Hauser.
That makes me weary that if she's doing 3 books, are they all going to be good?
I didn't notice.
They're one-shots, dumb.
I didn't notice this list was so long, so I'm not going to say every single one. I'm just going to say ones that we can comment on that I think we're interested in. So, if you want to see this list, it's on Gizmodo.com, IO9. It's a good list. So, DC, Young Justice number 1.
Yep.
That is Brian Michael Bendis, Patrick Gleason. Garrett's going to check that out. Maybe he'll talk about it. Who knows? Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker and Jamal Campbell are going to be doing Naomi number 1. That's also within this Wonder Comics line. It's a new superhero.
Well, I saw the preview, and it's a new Bendis creation.
A battle between Superman and Mongol could be the key to a grand new mystery in the DC universe. As a young woman named Naomi caught on the crossfire sees the incident as a chance to explain the last time she had a superheroic encounter and what it meant for her own origin story. So, not a lot there, but Brian Michael Bendis, usually with his original series like that, where he makes a new character, is actually has a good track record. So, might be good there.
Yeah, probably going to check out issue 1.
Other History of DC Universe number 1. It's just a book that goes through DC history. It's a nonfiction book, I believe. It looks like it. John Riley and Alex Dos Dios. So if you're interested in that, which I am, so I might check that out. Mysteries of Love and Space number 1. This is one of their Valentine's Day specials. James Tynion IV, Saladin Ahmed, Cecil Cacciolini, Kyle Higgins, Jeff Lawless, Tom Grummett, and Max Dunbar and more.
For the low price of $14.99. I'm just kidding. I don't know what it's
Image Comics, here we go. Oliver number 1, a new retelling of classic Dickens tale, Oliver Twist.
Oh,
imagining the young orphan not as a Victorian scamp, but as a futuristic hero fighting to save a post-apocalyptic England ravaged by war. This is Gary Whitta and Derek Robinson. Gary Whitta wrote Rogue One. So if you want to get that, there you go. IDW, this might be just you, Alex. IDW 2020, IDW's year-long celebration of its 20th anniversary kicks off with a weekly anthology series that takes some of its most beloved series and imagines new tales set either 20 years in the future or 20 years in the past. Here are the series within that anthology. MLP, that's Ted Anderson and Tony Canuso writing that. Star Trek, Peter David, J.K. Woodward, and here's the part you want. TMNT, Paul Alrudd and David Watcher. Jen and the Holograms by Stina Grace and Sabohan Keenan. Ghostbusters by Eric Burnham and Dan Choning. Oh, Eric Burnham was at Supercon. So there you go. TMNT Shredder in Hell, number 1. The Shredder is back. Well, sort of. The infamous foe of the TMNT goes on a divine journey through the depths of hell itself. But how much of a soul could possibly be left after such a harrowing experience? This is Mateus Scalero on this book. Which, buddy, Black Science? In Hell? Shredder?
Uh-huh. I know. I'm so excited for this book coming out next week. Albuquerque's doing the incentive cover. Oh, hell yeah, it looks great. And cannot wait to see who the hell Shredder beats the shit out of down there.
Let me ask you a question. Shredder in Hell, is that like Jason in Hell?
I'm thinking he's going to kill Jason in Hell again.
We can't comment on that one. So
I'm getting Transformers #1. That's on there.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer #1. This is from Boom Studios. The story of the legendary Slayer begins once more as the iconic TV series is reimagined for a new age. Young teenager Buffy Summers moves to a sleepy town of Sunnydale, only to find it's not entirely so sleepy. What with being at the doorstep of a portal of the darkest forces the world has ever seen. This is Jordi Belair writing and Dan Moore on art. I believe Alex and Garrett said that Dan Moore on art is enough to try out this book. Is that true?
100%.
For sure.
Yeah, can't believe didn't know that was coming out this week. Want to go back in time. Be like, bloop, bloop, bloop. Oh, look at that on the shelf.
February, let's see here, a new Conan book, Savage Sword of Conan, so maybe you want to jump on this one. Jerry Dugan and Rob Garnier.
I saw Ron Garney, and I thought, oh, maybe, but...
Dugan's not doing Fluffy Bunny anymore. What's that book called?
Avengers No Road Home, #1. Oh, by the way, speaking of, DC Marvel announced they're doing an 18-month event.
Jesus.
What, Realm of the Worlds?
We'll talk about it more next week. But
War of the Realms.
Yeah.
No, not that. It's like Avengers. 18 months. Can you believe it?
So we should just jump all of our Marvel books.
Some Ideas Heroes kicks off a new mini event as night falls across the entire Marvel cosmos, bringing together 7 familiar Avengers. This is Avengers No Road Home #1. It's Al Ewing, Jim Zub, Mark Waid. Daredevil #1, Chip Zdarsky. I think we talked about that before, so I'll skip past that. But if you want to look that, I would recommend it. Chip Zdarsky. Wolverine's #1. What the fuck is going on with Hulk and Wolverine? Weapon. What was it? Weapon what?
Weapon Age before.
I'll skip past that. Nobody needs to see about that.
Bullshit.
No one gives a shit.
Captain Marvel, Brighter and the Mightier #1. Only Carol Danvers could be late to Captain Marvel Day, but at least she has a good excuse, trying to balance her commitment to the community. Loves her while fending off an alien invasion. I'm not sure if this is a mini or what, but Jodie Hauser's writing that, so I thought I mentioned there. Another X-Men book. Skip past that. Anakin Skywalker #1, Jodie Hauser, Corey Smith. Count Dooku #1, Jodie Hauser, Luke Smith, Lou Ross. Do you like Count Dooku?
Well, Count Dooku.
Anakin?
I could do some Anakin.
Nobody likes Anakin.
Well, he doesn't like the sand. He lives on a sand planet.
Wonder Twins activate after Wonder Twins #1 after being exiled from the world. Zan and Jenna find themselves having to make a life on Earth, blending in as teenager attendees at South Metropolis High. This is Mark Russell and Stephen Byrne.
I have to check this one out. I can't help myself.
Mark Russell of Flintstones and Snagglepuss fame. So there you go. Here we go. Image Comics, Starsky the Bounty Hunter #1. Like any bounty hunter worth its salt, the titular hero of Starsky the Bounty Hunter knows that maintaining his reputation is just as important as collecting rewards from his job, so he always makes his presence very known. By arriving on the scene on a rock-powered ice cream truck with his kid sidekick, they're just a pair of mercenaries journeying throughout the galaxy on a quest to bag baddies. You know, good, wholesome stuff. This is Mark Miller and Simone Bianca. So there you go. Let's skip ahead. Nothing. Nope. Nothing else in. Doesn't look really like a lot else in February. So March here. I'm going to really skip ahead because Spider-Man Life Story #1. That's Chip Zdarsky, Mark Bagley. So tell guess what's fun about that.
Bagley did most, if not all, of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Actually, let me read this real quick. Being a comic book character means never really having to grow up. But in Spider-Man Life Story, Peter Parker being given the chance to age like a regular person, living in a universe where his timeline isn't being constantly reset in order to clean up complicated plot lines. For the first time in his life, Peter's going to age like the rest of us, all while continuing to operate as everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's going to be fantastic to see what kind of person he ends up becoming. So it's a Spider-Man story where he gets older. Mm-hmm. So we'll see that. Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley. Nobody wants to read a book called Meet the Skrulls, I believe. Cosmic Ghost Rider Distorts Marvel History.
Depends on who it is. If it's Jeff Lemire writing it, I'm on it.
No, Paul Scheer. It's a comedian. So, Star Wars Starfighter Dark Visions #1. Dennis Hopeless. Yeah, I'm getting that. Is that the new series?
It's only a 6-issue.
General Grievous #1. Jodie Hauser and Padme Amidala #1. Jodie Hauser.
Oh, Padme's is just going to be a cover for eating green apples.
The Batman Who Laughs, the Grim Knight #1. This is Edward Russo, Jock, James Tynion IV, and Scott Snyder. So that is about the Grim Knight. I don't know who that is.
That's part of the Batman Who Laughs story.
Oh, here we go. Detective Comics 1000. I had to read that. So is it good?
I've read it.
Oh.
I read it. It was good.
Detective Comics 1000. The celebration we all been waiting for. Like Worlds, Grace Detective will tell stories from all eras of Batman's life and provide a glimpse into what's to come. This is Alvaro Martinez, Joel Jones, Dustin Wynn, Alex Maleev, Jim Lee, Kelly Jones, Steve Epting, Tony S. Daniel, Greg Capullo, Neil Adams, Doug Mankey, Warren Ellis, Paul Dini, Tom King, Brian Michael Bendis, Peter DiTomasi, James Tinian IV, Scott Snyder, Kevin Smith, Christopher Priest, Dennis O'Neil, and Jeff Johns.
Wow.
What a lineup.
Ooh, Denny O'Neil's coming back?
Yep.
Oh, the king, the legend.
That is a
And Paul
fantastic
Levitz,
lineup.
you said, right?
What's it?
You say Paul Levitz?
No.
Oh,
Paul Dini.
Paul Dini. Paul
Um,
Dini's great, though, too.
Paul Dini, Jeff Johns, Christopher Priest, Kevin Smith. So it's a good lineup. That's
Yeah.
like a.
There's some really strong ones. There's some of those that I'm not as excited to see.
At least it's all people who, besides Bendis, that have written the character before. So it's kind of
When
like.
did Priest write Batman?
Oh, instead of Priest.
Is he talking shit?
Well, it's a mix then of new people.
I said there's
Kevin
but I mean,
Smith,
there's,
Jeff
like,
Johns,
Kevin
Paul
Smith that makes me
Dini.
Oh,
excited.
he wrote that
Dennis O'Neil.
Deathstroke versus Batman where Batman's still dating
Yeah,
his
yeah,
dad.
yeah. He's in there.
Hey, are you still getting Deathstroke, Marvin?
I get in trades now. I read on Hoopla.
Oh.
It's better. I figure out it's better when you read more of them together. So
Probably
still
doing
like
that with Batman soon.
Just to find out that Batman's son is Damien.
Transformers Number 1?
Still.
Is that what you said you're getting?
Yeah.
Yeah, Transformers Number 1, fresh off the heels of the new Bumblebee movie. This comic reboots the classic series, which will go all the way back to early years of Cybertron before the Great War tore it apart, and show us how the death of one, being led by a conflict, turned the Autobots into heroes that we know today. That doesn't actually sound bad if you're going to go way back there. Bad Luck Chuck. That's a movie that we all saw, right? Moving on. Here we go. Here we go. Go past all that. Nobody has anything to say about that. Nope. Nobody has anything about that. We're moving on to, well, let's end the list. So that's the first 3 months of 2019. Detective sounds fantastic. Captain Marvel I want to check out. And the Mark Miller book I'm sure we'll check out because I think we all check out their books. Mark Miller's books. So.
Yeah.
For the first 3 months, doesn't sound like a bad lineup. We have all our books that are going on right now. Plus, I see about 4 or 5 that I can try out, dip my toes in.
I'm just trying to think of 4 or 5 I can drop so I
Yeah,
can
so
try out
there's-
these new ones.
There's other books I either need to get rid of or move somewhere else.
So we'll see. But 2019, we are right into the year. And if you want to let us know what books you're looking forward to, that's WednesdayComics605@gmail.com. Email us, let us know. 605-215-1849. That's the phone number to drop a little note. At Wednesday Comics or at Garot2188. That's Garot. At Alex Pastrell, that's Alex. And at Marvin_Salguero, that's Marvin. Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Make sure you like the page and share it with your friends. While you're doing that, also subscribe to this show and share that with your friends on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio. Roots of the SwampThing.com, your definitive source for all things Swamp Thing. Holland Files number 3 is on pre-order right now, so make sure to go to the website and pre-order that. If you want a sneak peek, check out the last episode where we review Saga of the Swamp Thing Book 2. At the end of that, we have a little sneak peek from John Boylan himself from Volume 3. It is some great information. Go ahead and check it out. We have book club, right?
Wednesday Comics, League of Extraordinary Gentle People, proudly presents...
Actually, also check us out on YouTube for the Gauntlet and this show. So subscribe over there. We are looking to do more video content. I know we've been saying that for
That's
like
a
3
long
months.
fucking title for that book.
I know we've been saying for like 3 months, but I really want to do more video content. What was the book club called? League of Extraordinary
Wednesday
Gentle
Comics, League of Extraordinary Gentle People, proudly presents...
Here's the thing that's never been done in the past.
No.
Here's the thing that's never been done in the past. I'm making an announcement here. So I made a pick last week on the Saga show of Snagglepuss, right? And I really do want to read that book, and I really do think it would bring out good discussion. But I was thinking about it, and it really doesn't fit into what we've been doing recently. And I want to read on my own, and I kind of want to experience on my own. So I'm going to change my book. It's only been a week. Since I announced it.
People.
But I think if nothing else, when you say it, and if our listeners go, no, read Snagglepuss.
If you read Snagglepuss,
If you tell us to read Snagglepuss, we will read it.
hey, Snagglepuss, listen to this. If you read Snagglepuss because I said it last week, I'm going to read it too. You can find me on Twitter. Find me on Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com. Let's talk about it. 605-215, leave a note. 1849. Sorry. I decided, because of the books I read this week, that I want to go back and re-examine Criminal Volume 1.
Booyah.
Coward. So that's going to be the pick. I know me and Alex have read it, but I haven't read it in a while. I don't even remember what went on in that book. And now that we have this new Criminal, and it's kind of tying back to that story a little bit, I thought we'd get involved. And since it's a book that Criminal's coming out now, and we'll be in that world,
that does seem more
there's
fitting
more
with what we
discussion.
do.
There's more discussion to have there,
Yeah.
rather than Snagglepuss out the dragon out of you two. So I think Criminal will all be into, and we can find relevance.
And I don't have to buy it; I already have it.
Like in Hoopla.
And I already have it too. So, and it's a fantastic book. Sean Phillips, Eddie Brubaker. And I don't think Betty's on that first one. She comes on in the second one. So I don't even know who the colorist is. But what does it say, Alex? I don't think it says on the outside, just to Sean Phillips. But go ahead and read that. Coward Criminal. It's on Hoopla. It's on Comixology Unlimited. It's probably on Prime Reading. Everything. All these services that you could have. Check it out. You can read it, or you can go pick it up at your local comic shop. It's Image First, or not Image First. It's an Image Volume 1, which usually those are what, $10?
Yep.
So go ahead and pick that up. I thought about changing that because I feel like there's more discussion there, at least for this group. Snagglepuss, you want to talk about it with me? I'll talk about it with you. I am going to read Snagglepuss because you know why.
Because you're Marvin?
No,
Stage left.
Yeah, exit stage left. That's what we're doing tonight, baby, because we've got talked for way too long. So to my right is Alex, but my name is Marvin.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Garrett.
Hey everyone! Hashtag keep turning those pages.